All right, so I felt there's a topic should have gotten to earlier, but get busy and I don't have time for stuff sometimes. So I finally watched the Matt Rife comedy special on Netflix. It's really not as bad as everybody's making it out to be. Now I'm gonna preference this with a couple of things here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Matt Rife is a comedian who kind of got viral by doing TikTok showing his stand-up work, and Netflix approached him and he got a deal to do a comedy special with them. They paid him something in the neck of the woods, like $1 million or so. I mean, great for him. I think it's great. But then after the special came out, two people that I follow on this platform that have much bigger followings than I do. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to start an argument with them. That's not the point of this. One is a comedian, but I've never seen his work. But I do appreciate his commentary. He talks about military life, being in military, being a military medic, those kind of things. And he has a darker humor, and I appreciate it for that. Comedy for me is a very special thing. I love stand up comedy. I am not a stand up comedian, obviously. I just don't have that skill set, and I don't feel that I can deliver things verbally the way that comedians do. But that's another whole other topic. But I appreciate comedy for how diverse it can be. And recently there seems to be a trend of comedians, aspiring comedians, and somewhat established, or maybe comedians who are working very hard to try to establish themselves, being very upset with comedians that make it. And two people in particular, one I would consider comedian, the one I'm talking about. The other one is a female, I guess, voice actress. She does voiceover for a department store. I guess the way to put that, or a national chain store. You guys can guess who it is in the comments if you want. I'm not going to say either way. But anyway, both seem to be very upset with him. The male stand-up comedian I'm talking about, his commentary on TikTok, again, most of you probably know who it is. A lot of people have labeled him as being jealous of Matt Rife, and I understand where it's coming from because I see how this person decided to discuss this. They said that Matt is not funny, doesn't know what comedy is, isn't making good jokes, is punching down, and they're jumping on the domestic violence joke at the beginning of the special. It is in the beginning, yes, but it is led into with other stuff, and I think it's redeemed later on. I'll give my critique of the comedy special here in a minute, but I'm going to focus on this person that made the comment about it. It's easy to focus on stuff out of context in the comedy special, which they did. You can take multiple parts out of context. And if you do that, it's going to seem like Matt is just picking on groups for the sake of getting views. That is not the case. And again, I'll provide critique on the comedy special here in a moment, and I'll explain why I should be allowed to do that and why I'm able to do that. Anyway, but the same comedian, the same person that does comedy that's seemingly jealous, the reason people are saying that, I don't think they're jealous. Maybe they are, but the reason that they're saying that is because they've written a book and it's not getting the attention that I think they think it should. And additionally, their stand-up hasn't gone very far. I haven't seen their comedy work. I haven't seen their stand-up stuff. I've seen very few bits, but it seemed more like they were just yelling at the crowd angrily rather than doing a joke. And I'm not saying that they're not funny. I'm saying that's the only thing that get presented. Start putting your work out more on this platform or other platforms. If I'm not seeing it though, and I've taken minimal effort to see it, you're not serving your audience with your content. If all we're seeing is your political commentary and not your comedy, you're promoting the one thing that you maybe shouldn't be, or you should try to promote the other more. That's all I'm saying. I do commentary videos. That's why I do very few of the filter videos, because I'm not trying to promote the filter videos on TikTok. I'm trying to promote myself talking to you guys, the audience here, so that maybe one day I'll have enough followers that I can do lives and you guys will attend those lives, and maybe I do other stuff beyond that. Those are maybes. That's an end goal, right? But for now, you're getting me as is. Sometimes I write scripts, sometimes I don't. This is a craft in itself. People can argue that all they want. Comedy's a craft as well. And you start off very basic, maybe not knowing what you're doing very well, and you get better. Let's keep this video too long. Let's move on to the other content creator. I think she's great. She does great work. I know she puts a lot of time into the work she does. The series you guys know her for usually starts off with "Hey me," is how she says. She says "Hey me," and then she does some great camera work. Real simple stuff, but the gimmick works and it's really neat. And I appreciate the content they make. But she criticized him for being young and making fun of young people. And it's like, that's not wrong, though. He can make content about people in his age group. Lots of comedians do that. It's not that outlandish. The overall complaint I heard is that his comedy was off-brand, and this isn't the kind of stuff he does. Yes, it is. I've seen Matt's content before. I've seen Matt Rife's content before. Everything he did was on brand. In fact, his Netflix special was watered down in a lot of parts compared to what he does in other places in stand-up. It's great. People get that's his brand of comedy. I just don't get how people seem to forget we had comedians like Andrew Dice Clay who were really extreme for the time, and even by today's standards would still be extreme. Go tell a couple of Andrew Dice Clay jokes and see how many people get offended by that. Granted, it was a different time, but this content that Matt's making isn't that bad. So let's critique the comedy special here, as I literally just finished watching it. Not even kidding. I can't sleep most times, so I do. Usually I work on my store because I run a business, but I run an online business, but I decided to watch this tonight. And so the beginning joke, the domestic violence joke, was a setup about being in Baltimore. You know, he makes a joke about testing the waters with the joke. He even says specifically, I just did that joke to see if you guys were going to be fun or not. So it is part of the show. His crowd work is missing. I think that is going to be something a lot of people are going to be caught off guard by, but it is a Netflix comedy special, and so it's not the same. In the end credits of the special, there is a little bit of crowd work, not a lot. They don't focus on that. Netflix wants it a certain way. Overall, he's rough around the edges. I'm going to tag him in this video. I hope he sees it. I know he's probably fairly busy with everything going on, and I'm not a big content creator, but his work is a little rough. He's young. He's been doing this for a bit, yes, but it's a craft. You evolve over time. He's also only 28. Go back and look at young comedians before they hit it big and go see what their craft looked like. Go to an amateur comedy club and see what some of that work's like. It is neat to see comedians evolve over time. Sometimes they make bad takes. On that point, to jump back just a minute here, I love the two people that I talked about. I love their content. But it is possible, and I've said this in other videos, it is possible for even your favorite content creators to have a bad take from time to time, but we don't cancel them for that. I don't agree with what those two are saying about Matt Rife's comedy or Matt Rife, but I'm not canceling them. I'm still going to enjoy their content. Now, if they make their entire personality just crapping on one person, I'm probably going to unfollow them. Now, while his show is a little rough around the edges, I think that the jokes are appropriate for the time and the age group that he's playing to. He has an audience that is a little diverse. It will probably grow over time, but he's getting out there now. Not everybody's on TikTok. Some people may go to Netflix and this is the first time they've seen him. There may be people that are in the audience at the Netflix special that were there that had never seen him, were there because somebody referenced him. That's how comedy works. You don't just start out and everybody just knows who you are. It takes word of mouth, promotion, getting a comedy special, working tons and tons of dive clubs. I've had the privilege in my lifetime where I'm at, in the city I'm in, we have a very small hole-in-the-wall comedy club. I have got to talk to people through various comedy things that are done there. I haven't gone in a bit, and I hate that I don't get to, but I have talked to comedians who were big in the 80s that came back now and are having a hard time because you kind of lose traction, and they've had a lot to say, and it's been interesting to hear them talk about stuff. I've seen new emerging comedians, and then I've gone and seen them go on to do Netflix specials, and it's just a neat experience to see where they were young, starting out, or maybe their stuff was rough and they've worked on it. You're not going to know how good your content is until you work an audience, though. I'm not a comedian, no. But why can I talk about this? Because I love comedy. I've seen a lot of comedy, and while no, I cannot write jokes and I cannot be a comedian, I know what makes me laugh. I know what I want to see there. His analogies do need some work. There's no doubt about that. The connection to what he's explaining in the punchline needs to work. But he ended the show really appropriately, and I think he maybe anticipated what people were going to say. And he ends the show saying, what do I know? I only do crowd work. Because a lot of people said he wasn't a comedian. He just did crowd work and he wasn't funny. And he is. Is every joke a banger? No. Could he rewrite some of them? Sure. That's every comedian, though. Every person can always rewrite their work and make it better. There's always something better to do. He will learn from this. He will do better from this. But now he's got the money to focus on that. So if he had to do a job and this, he can now focus on this more probably long-term on things. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. As usual, guys, go see the comedy special. Go see it and watch it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. And leave your comments in. Please be constructive about it. Be nice about it. There's no need to be rude here. If you know the other two content creators I'm talking about, I'm not looking for an argument with them. I'm just giving my viewpoint on it. So tell me what you guys think.